Welcome to New York's number 2 sports show. The Rangers beat the Ottawa Senators 5-0 in what was probably their most complete game of the season, at least that I can recall, where it's about as good of a 60-minute effort as this team has displayed, and they extend their point streak to 9 games. So 6-0-3 in their last 9, and a really key win against an Ottawa Senator team who is um, one of the biggest competitors for those wild card spots available. So the Rangers now find themselves 2 points out of a playoff spot. Again, there's a lot of teams in front of them. So, I mean, there's 2 spots up for grabs, and they're right in there with 4, 5, 6 other teams. And another one's going to be in play next game against the Philadelphia Flyers, and we'll discuss that one a little bit. But very, very nice effort all the way around. Shesterkin gets the shutout, and really for me, the biggest thing that came out of this game from Shesterkin's end was basically getting into a semi-fight with Brady Tkachuk. Igor made a good save, really good save on Tkachuk. Besides that, it wasn't tested much. Really, Rangers were stout defensively from the beginning of the game. And actually, there were 2 goals disallowed um, via offside and video review. So really, they kind of scored 7 goals. But it was really consistent balance throughout the lineup. And the fourth line was excellent in this game. Matt Rempe scores a goal, and it was his first goal of the season. Arthur Kaliyev scored a goal, and he actually really kind of scored 2, but that was one of the disallowed goals. Just all the way around. Power play had a couple of goals as well, 1 5-on-3, and then the other one was by the second unit. But yeah, just not a whole lot of bad things to say on this one. And I just think that it's a good sign coming off of what was a tough end of that game against Montreal, and overall just wasn't one of their better performances compared to what we've seen recently. And like I said, the backbone has got to be how they protect the net, how they defend, to neutralize odd man rush chances. Like they're playing a much better brand of hockey, and it's showing. The results are coming in now. And I think there was a brief time when they probably deserved better. They were mostly bad. They really basically deserved to have as bad a record as they did. But then there was a little bit of a stretch where they weren't getting the wins, but you could tell that they were playing a little bit better. And I guess those are kind of like maybe the Florida games, like the Lightning and the Panthers games. And then, yeah, like it's weird how the win that kind of in some ways started this, although you could argue it was the Boston win, although they did lose to Washington and then they beat Chicago. But if we're going to use the Bruin win for this exercise, it's kind of it's a win that at the moment like doesn't really feel like it's much at all. That's kind of what happens though. Or even if you want to call it the Chicago one, because that was technically the first game of the 9-game point streak that they're currently on right now. The lineup was the same for this game. So, and with Matt Rempe scoring a goal, expect him to stay in the lineup for a while. So again, your healthy scratches consistently at this point have been Jimmy Vesey, Johnny Brodzinski, and Zach Jones. And, unless there's injury, I think that's going to stay the same. And the lines and D pairs, there's been, some consistency for that as well. Obviously, Lindgren Fox, Miller Borgen, Valkenine and Schneider. And then for the forward lines, Panarin with Trocheck and Lafrenière, Cooley with Zibanejad and Riley Smith, Kreider with Hedl and Kaliyev, and Edstrom with Carrick and Rempe. So good to see. And it's kind of the twist and turns of a season. It's a reminder that it is such a long season for, in good times and bad times, right? When the team is playing really well, it's like it feels like it's somewhat of an unstoppable force, and then you can go on a really bad stretch, and vice versa here, where I was certain, totally certain that like this was going to be a free fall situation, and they were destined to miss the playoffs. Now, look, that could still be the case, but they've really turned it around here in January, and you have every reason to think and believe that they certainly have a definite opportunity to make the playoffs. Still a ways to go, but key head-to-head matchups, and I'm glad that they're just, basically getting these points. You got to do it, and to do it in regulation as well against Ottawa, very, very important. This felt like the most important game, and it's an obvious statement, I guess, but this felt like the most important game of the season because if you lost it, let's say regulation, as I believe I alluded to maybe last episode, if you did, then you're 6 points back of Ottawa. And I know there's a lot of season still left to go. We got 30 plus games, but not really a place you want to be. And Ottawa had been winning a lot lately. They were coming off of, at least over the weekend, a couple of pretty big wins, one against the Bruins and then one against the Devils. And, I think that they might have been somewhere around maybe 5-0-1 coming in. And that's very similar to the Flyers as well, next game. But anyway, for this one, Rangers, it was scoreless for a while. In the goalie matchup, Igor Shesterkin for the Rangers. For Ottawa, it was two goalies, and their starter, Linus Ullmark, has been out for about a month. He's their number one. He'd actually been playing very well for them in a trade. They got him in a trade with the Bruins. But it would be Levi Merilainen, who would be in net for Ottawa. And he'd actually been playing well. But in this game, he struggled a bit. And so he was actually ironically pulled after a goal that was disallowed. So it was what would have been Kaliyev's second goal that wasn't, and it would have made it 3-0. But he actually only gets pulled after allowing 2 goals. And then Anton Forsberg would come in later in the game for the Senators. But to start out, it was just a good period by the Rangers, despite the fact that they didn't have any goals to show for it. They were the better team. And I'm glad that it wasn't one of those things where it's like, one period they were good, one they weren't. No, this was a full effort the whole way through. And the first goal seemingly was going to be won by Sam Carrick, but it wasn't. Matt Rempe was offside by a good amount as well. And so in that moment, it's kind of like, you're not really feeling great as far as Matt Rempe there. And it's somewhat excusable. He was trying to do the right thing. Like, his intentions were right. He was just ahead of it. And, it was the right call. So Carrick's goal's off the board. But soon thereafter, the Rangers do score a goal that counts. And it's Alexis Lafrenière scoring his 13th goal of the season from Trocheck and Fox at 18:48. And it's a shot taken by Fox at the point that must have gotten a piece of Trocheck. The fact that he got this assist, because the assist would have been Fox and Panarin. But they must have deemed that Trocheck, who was, causing some havoc in front, it goes off him, and a very easy backhand goal by Lafrenière has a just open net and puts it right in. But a hard-earned, well-deserved goal for the Rangers there, and it gives them that 1-0 lead at the end of the first period. The Rangers had outshot Ottawa 10-5 in that first period. So we go to the second, and the Rangers would take a 2-0 lead early in the second. It's Arthur Kaliyev scoring his first Madison Square Garden goal as a Ranger, second goal overall, assisted by Vakanainen and Schneider. And the calling card for Arthur Kaliyev is his shot, and that was on full display in this game. Look, it'd be great if he can somehow carve out a role for himself on this team. That would be really, really good. And I'm glad that he's getting an opportunity to play with offensive-minded players. It would be a waste to have somehow thrown him on the fourth line. That's basically what the Kings did, and it didn't really work out. But for him to be in that top 9 is good. I understand that he's not going to be someone that's really going to be out there late in games when you need to protect the lead for defense, but he is someone that can give you that goal, and he does have a mentality of shooting the puck, which isn't that common on this team. Makes it 2-0. Soon thereafter is where it appeared as if Arthur Kaliyev had scored again. But this was another replay. And I think I'm getting this right because I'm going to incorporate some penalties. So I hope I'm doing this I probably am not doing this chronologically right, but just for the sake of this, Kaliyev appeared to have scored again in this period. Really, same part of the ice. But it was, and I should say, like, the Kaliyev goal was on the right side, and he just rips it. And, maybe not a great goal allowed, but still, like, it didn't surprise you that it came from Kaliyev because of the shot that he does have. And this one was somewhat similar as well, in terms of near that right circle. This one did go off of an Ottawa defender in it, but it all ends up being for naught, as it was Chris Kreider who was offside. Now, that one's a little more frustrating because Kreider, to me, it's just his head not being fully where it needs to be. And there was a stretch earlier in the game, I think it was the first period possibly, where Kreider was struggling a little bit. So I really have nothing bad to say about mostly anyone in this game. I guess if I had to choose one person, Kreider had moments that were a little bit discouraging, including this offside. It wasn't by that much, but it was the right call. And again, I think that he probably could have avoided it. So it remains 2-0. Ranger penalty kill does a nice job in a couple of instances in the second. Will Borgen's called for interfering Brady Tkachuk. Pretty questionable call at 5:50, but the Rangers kill it off. Then Philip Hedl holds Tim Stützle at 13:08. Rangers kill that off. And then at 16:16, it's a reversal where Stützle trips Phil Hedl. So Hedl with a nice effort. And I thought Hedl was flying all over the ice in this one. Good game by him. Like the fourth line was awesome. I think that it was, you were getting more contributions, I'd say, from the depth players. Not to say that the top guys weren't good in this game, but it was really noticeable what you're getting from the fourth line, third line. I thought Hedl was showing that speed, and he was playing pretty well in this game. Rangers do not score on this power play. So we go to the third period with the Rangers up 2-0, and really should have been up by more than that. So, I mean, this game could have turned very quickly. If Ottawa found a way to score a goal, who knows? And of note, these two teams did play early in the season on November 1st. The Rangers won 2-1 at Madison Square Garden. That game was dominated by Ottawa. Shesterkin was unbelievable. This game was a lot different. This game, the Rangers were the better team. And at 3:34 of the third, Matt Rempe scores his first goal of the season, assisted by Edstrom and Carrick. So kind of a quasi second goal for the fourth line in this game, if the Carrick goal had counted earlier, but it didn't. This is Matt Rempe's first regular season home goal. He, of course, had a home goal in the playoffs, the first goal of the playoffs last year against the Washington Capitals. But a nice play by Rempe. And Edstrom, kind of setting Rempe up, getting him in some space. So give Edstrom some credit. And the two of them, they've played together a good amount, whether that be, I believe, maybe a little bit in Hartford, but certainly at the NHL level last year and this year. And Rempe with a really nice backhand. I mean, you can tell he does have a little bit of skill. He's not someone that will ever be much of a goal scorer in this league, but this was a pretty silky backhander by Rempe to beat Forsberg, who had come in the game in the second period. And so it makes it 3-0 Rangers. Crowd is very much into it, especially when Rempe gets the goal. And then is when you have fisticuffs and chaos in a game to that point that didn't feature a whole lot of it. At 7:09, Brady Tkachuk interferes with Igor Shesterkin, and Shesterkin is seemingly in pain. And then behind the net, and you have things going on. And ironically, Rempe was on the ice at that point. And Rempe and Tkachuk were kind of going at it a little bit earlier in the game. But it ends up being penalties on Tkachuk for goal interference. And I think he ended up with maybe 6 penalty minutes overall and a double minor for roughing. Matt Rempe gets a double minor for roughing. Shane Pinto is called for roughing as well. But the big thing is Igor Shesterkin goes into the melee and basically starts swinging at Brady Tkachuk. So I wasn't sure if Forsberg was going to go down there, because in those situations that happens. It didn't. It didn't escalate to that point, but Igor was very, very furious. And a pretty exciting moment. Igor is called. It's a 2-minute penalty for Igor for leaving the crease. But the Rangers, out of all of this, end up with a power play. I did not think that'd be the case with Igor doing what he did. I figured, okay, it'll probably be evened up. But the Rangers get the power play and they take advantage of it, because what happens is at 8:37, ironically enough, Mike Amadio is called for goal interference against Igor Shesterkin. So Igor goes behind the net, and the power play at this point is not too far away from expiring. 3-0 game, and Amadio runs into Igor behind the net. He kind of couldn't avoid him. And so now it's a 5-on-3 for the Rangers, and they are able to score on it with probably about 6 seconds left on the 5-on-3. It's Artemi Panarin scoring his 20th goal of the season from Fox and Zibanejad. So another 20-goal season as a Ranger for Artemi Panarin. Give 2 assists to Adam Fox tonight. He's been playing pretty good hockey lately. And so that makes it 4-0 Rangers right there. Just a great shot by Panarin. And then the second power play unit gets an opportunity in a rare case of that. And it's Will Cuylle who gets the power play goal, his 13th goal of the season from Lafrenière and K'Andre Miller at 9:57. And so Kaliyev has been the one that has been bumped off that second unit. I know for a while it was kind of Cuylle, but now it is Lafrenière, Cuylle, Riley Smith, Filipino, and K'Andre Miller. But Cuylle gets that goal, so it's goals in back-to-back games for Will Cuylle, goals in back-to-back games as well for Alexis Lafrenière. And the Rangers take a 5-0 lead there. There'd be one more penalty at 16:26. It would be Matt Paulo slashes Filipino. So another situation where the second unit actually gets a chance, which was nice to see. I mean, there's no reason to give the first unit that run up 5-0. They don't score on it, but the Rangers do win 5-0. Another shutout for Igor Shesterkin. So back-to-back starts with shutouts for Igor against Columbus, where he was really the star of that game. And then here, not as much, just didn't need him because the Rangers were that good. So the Rangers improved to 23-20-4. They hit the 50-point mark. Like I said, they're about 2 points back of a playoff spot, with those spots currently being occupied by Ottawa and Montreal. Montreal has been on a heater, including their win versus the Rangers. Boston's right there. And another team that's right there is the Philadelphia Flyers, who they are on a 3-game winning streak. And I think they're around maybe 5-0-1 in their last 6 or 6-0-1 in the last 7. They're playing very, very well. Kind of similar to what Ottawa was doing, but almost even more impressive. I think Philly is true because Ottawa, the games of the weekend, they won them and they won against good opponents. But Philly has just really been very gritty, obviously. And no pun intended. There really was no pun intended there. But with John Tortorella behind the bench, that you always know that you're going to get close to a maximum effort from the Philadelphia Flyers. And the Rangers played them once before this season in Philly, I believe on Black Friday, in a matinee game where the Rangers did not play well at all and the Flyers beat them. So now it'll be – they only played the Flyers 3 times this year. This will be the first of 2 meetings at Madison Square Garden. The Flyers also have 50 points, just like the Rangers. Difference is the Rangers have played 1 less game. So they are barely ahead in terms of points percentage. But I wouldn't – if I'm the Rangers, they should be taking this Flyer team very seriously, especially considering the fact that they really outplayed the Rangers mightily in that game in Philly a couple months back. So got to keep things going. 9-game point streak, which is impressive. 6-0-3 in their last 9. And really to date, I think a win that you can be proud of against the Ottawa Senators, a 5-0 win at that, at Madison Square Garden. And then next up, another playoff competitor is coming to town in the Philadelphia Flyers.